Welcome, everyone, to the Everything Show. I am your host, Matrixlord212, and I'm with Chris. What's up, Chris?
What's up, guys?
All right, dude, so what's happening?
So, allegedly, I believe this happened a day or two ago. It might have happened today, but there was I don't want to say rumor because I'm pretty sure it's pretty much confirmed, but it looks like Toho, obviously the company that owns the rights to Godzilla and distributes Godzilla films in Japan and, works with other companies to distribute them worldwide, is making some sort of a very large investment somewhere in LA. Now, whether this is like some sort of office that they're building or just some sort of investment in assets or something, I'm not entirely sure. I've heard it both ways. But this has sparked a lot of rumors online dealing with the MonsterVerse and the future of that. And, of course, with their next project, The World of Godzilla, if that's still going through, which as far as I know it still is. So this is a big deal. This means that Toho is getting more involved with American filmmaking and American film culture, specifically in Hollywood. So this could be an indication of, to me, one of two things. It could be an indication of both. Either that maybe they're looking for a way to continue the MonsterVerse with Legendary in a more hands-on role, because along with this story, there was a story that came out that said Toho was very involved in the production of Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Wow.
It said everything that they did basically had to be approved by them.
Wow.
Ranging from the designs of the main four monsters to, I'm assuming, things that they do in the story, which, reading the plot synopsis that I've read, makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of things in here that are for very hardcore Godzilla fans.
Right.
The other thing, too, that might be coming of this is potentially the world of Godzilla might be tied to America, potentially not solely in America, but like potentially maybe it might be a global thing. Maybe we're going to see movies that don't just take place in Japan. Maybe they'll be in America, potentially. I don't know. So this is pretty big. This indicates to me that, and we knew this already, but this is just more solid proof that Godzilla's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Good.
Whether it's continuing in the MonsterVerse or going with the world of Godzilla or whatever they're planning to do next.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay.
This is another thing here.
Okay.
If Toho is willing to invest in Los Angeles, and if this has anything to do with Godzilla at all,
right,
that means they must be okay with what happens in Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh.
So I'm not saying that this means Godzilla wins, but they must. They know what the story is, and they must be okay with it.
I think Godzilla wins, but
if they would have insulted Godzilla, then this investment probably would not have been made.
Mm-hmm.
So, however that plays out in the movie, Toho must be okay with it either way.
Okay.
So, that's really good news. I'm really excited to hear that. I hope.
I mean, how can it be bad news? It's got to be good news. I mean, it's not.
Oh, yeah. Another thing I hope that means is that potentially we'll get more Godzilla merchandise in America.
Which I think so, yeah.
I know that Walmart has just started putting stuff out for Godzilla King of the Monsters and for some of the older Bandai Creation stuff. So that's good news, I think.
Very good news. Now, what about their properties in overseas? Like, are they going? Is everything still going according to plan? Are they doing a movie?
So, as of right now, the deal with Legendary is supposed to end in 2021.
Right.
And around that time, they're either supposed to start production or have finished production. I think probably start production of whatever this first film in the world of Godzilla is supposed to be.
Okay.
My opinion, I think it's going to be a Godzilla film with Godzilla as the main monster.
Okay.
But we don't know. This world of Godzilla thing is very similar to the MonsterVerse in that it's supposed to be a cinematic universe. And they said that they're specifically looking at doing movies for Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, and then crossovers with other monsters and with them and whatnot.
Okay.
So If that's still the plan, we don't know because they haven't addressed it since that one statement that they made. I'm assuming, because they said they want to do a movie every 2 years, I'm assuming that they're going to start production maybe late 2020 or in 2021 and then go from there.
Okay.
As far as I know, it's not a sequel to Shin Gojira.
Good.
However, that could change very quickly.
Okay.
That could be. I mean, they could come out tomorrow and be like, yeah, this is all going to be set in the same universe.
Okay.
Which I think they could do well. And I also think it would be a smart business move to do that because that movie did extremely well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
All right. Now, the second story with Avengers. What's going on with that?
So, the worst case scenario for Disney occurred today.
Oh,
and apparently whole scenes of Avengers Endgame leaked online. And I read the descriptions of what this stuff was.
Okay.
Because for those of you who don't know, I do not get bothered by spoilers. They don't ruin my experience of the movie. So anytime I hear that spoilers come out, I don't really care. I read them and I still like the movie. What I read today was pretty major. Pretty major stuff leaked. And it's stuff that people had guessed would happen. Very interesting interactions between certain characters. And I think if what I read is executed as well as what they've said, it's probably going to be pretty good.
We're not going to talk about any spoilers going, like, you know, for now. Because didn't they write a letter or something to the fans asking them
I think it was in response to what happened.
Okay.
Basically asking people not to spoil the movie. Yeah. Unfortunately, the thing that happened, at least I saw one article this way, if I remember correctly, was that they basically put a lot of stuff in the title of the article, so you can't really escape it.
Jesus.
If you see this article, like if you start reading the article, there's a spoiler like right there.
Why did they do that? Why do these companies do that, though?
Clickbait. Yeah.
All right, so from now on, it's going to be very hard, but we're going to have to block every single Avenger thing ever coming out until the movie's out. And we're not going to spoil anything. We're not going to talk about anything because, again, I know you're okay with spoilers, but I'm to a point I am. But I really want to go in this without knowing anything else, you know. So, and we only got a couple more weeks, and then we're done. All right, so that happened. Now, what's going on with the stuff circulating today about Star Wars?
So I haven't seen an official source for this. I saw this on a couple of sites that I don't normally trust. But so the gist of the story is that allegedly, again, take this with a grain of salt, that Kathleen Kennedy has quote unquote confirmed that Knights of the Old Republic is coming in some form of show or movie.
It's probably the Game of Thrones guys doing it, though.
That's the rumor right now.
That's what I heard too a while ago. That's why it's like, well, it would be the perfect thing for them to do because it's in the past. They know the past, but like even though it's another guy, you know, still.
Right.
What I mean, you know, they're good at stuff like that, you know. So building up a history and stuff. So, I mean, you would give it to these guys, no? If you entrusted anybody else,
I would assume so.
Right.
My thing is this, and this is I've said this before, and I'm gonna stand by this no matter who's doing it, no matter how they're doing it. If this is true, and
okay.
if this is not true, and they ever do it in the future, I will still stand by this because I think this is the track record has shown that this is the way these movies have been going. Don't get your hopes up that this is going to be exactly the way that you remember Knights of the Old Republic.
Right.
They are going to change the story. They are going to change the characters. They're going to change the narrative. There will be things that are similar, and I'm sure characters from Knights of the Old Republic will show up. But this all has to fit the narrative that is being told in the main series.
Okay.
So don't be surprised if they do things that are different than what are in the games. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The reaction that I think is going to happen is that they're eventually going to confirm, yes, we're doing Knights of the Old Republic. People are going to lose their minds. And then as soon as the first plot details / trailer come out, and it's not the way people remember it, there's going to be pitchforks and torches and people going, they've ruined Star Wars again, yada, yada, yada. That's why I'm saying everybody's asking for Knights of the Old Republic. You have to understand that it's going to be that in name only.
Right.
They're not going to do a 1-to-1 correlation between the games and what they're doing now.
Right.
So here's the one thing that frightens me too. In the game, I'm almost certain that I never played the games myself, but I'm pretty sure that there's a character, when you're making your character or when you're setting up the character for Revan, there's an option where you can choose it to be male or female, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I would not be surprised if Revan was a female.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Because that would fit their kind of narrative that they're going for.
Oh no.
So, yeah.
Why do they have to change it exactly?
Change what?
The whole thing?
They have to change the whole thing, but they're going to change things to make it different from the game because they want this to be their own thing.
I mean, so in other words, they would do Knights of the Old Republic 1, 2, and 3. That would be the movies 1, 2, and 3. They're not going to be called
anything. That they would have some sort of subtitle.
Okay, but the Knights of the Old Republic in the background, and then.
Yeah, it would basically be like the Knights of the Old Republic saga.
Right.
Like that.
I don't like when they change things, but I mean, okay, we're gonna have to see how this is gonna go. I have another question now. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, the best example of this is when they brought Thrawn back into canon.
Right.
There was a lot of people that were like, "Oh, does that mean that these stories are canon?" And they were like, "No, we're bringing the character in. We're giving him new stories."
Right. They're not.
Which turned out very well. I have to say, I just finished reading Thrawn Alliances, which is the sequel written by Timothy Zahn to Thrawn.
Yeah.
Thrawn and Thrawn Alliances are fantastic.
Okay.
They're the best things I've ever read.
Okay, then I'm gonna have to get that because I did like Timothy Zahn's 3 books.
What's nice about this, and I'm currently reading the sequel to the original Thrawn series, and I have to say I like it.
What's the sequel to the original Thrawn series? It was After the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and Last Command.
Dark Force Rising. Yeah, Dark Force Rising.
Oh, you're rereading that?
I'm reading it for the first time.
Oh, you're reading it for the first time. Okay.
Yeah. And because for those of you who don't know, I'm not a big fan of the old canon post
the
Jedi. There's a lot of things in there that I just think are just horrible.
Right.
This is not one of them. I like the original Thrawn series.
So there's 2 books.
Well, there's 3.
Right now.
Oh,
no, I have the old books. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the new books now.
Yeah, so far there's 2. The third one's coming out later this year.
The first one's called what?
Thrawn.
That's it?
Yeah.
Second one's called what?
Thrawn Alliances.
Okay. And so I'm going to have to go, because I loved his books, so I'm going to have to go.
The third one is called Thrawn Treason.
Okay. I'm going to have to go get those.
Basically, kind of a short synopsis. The first one, you learn how Thrawn first encounters the Empire.
Okay.
And there are a lot of similarities between this series and the original Thrawn series.
Right.
The one thing that they changed a bit was, and I'm learning this now as I'm reading Dark Force Rising. In that book, Thrawn is a little more volatile, I'll say. Like he's a bit more forceful with his commands and the way he treats his officers. In the new canon, he's very calculating, and he's always studying his men and those around him. and there are parts in the book where you hear his thoughts as he's looking at someone, and he's getting these like subtle like clues from them, like how is this person going to act if I respond to their question or something a certain way.
Right.
And it's, in my opinion, I prefer the new Thrawn because he's such a departure from what you would expect from an Imperial officer.
Right.
And I find him a bit more interesting. But I still like the original Thrawn because I think he's also a departure from an Imperial. But I have an easier time believing that the original Thrawn is an Imperial officer.
Right.
The new one is like, yes, he's an Imperial officer, but he's not like a scumbag Imperial officer.
Gotcha.
He's very interesting. And the best parts of the book of Alliances are his interactions with Darth Vader.
Okay.
It just unbelievable. And in the third one, he's supposed to be on a mission with the Emperor, which I think sounds really cool. So
I definitely want to get those.
Yeah. The Thrawn Alliances one, I think, is one of the best new novels written. I still think Lords of the Sith is the best one that they've written.
Right.
Bloodline, but Alliances is right up there with those.
Okay. Now, something else came out today. And again, I don't know. I need you to sift through the garbage, really, with Star Wars stories concerning Episode 9. You probably know what I'm going to talk about. But what is this thing I hear today that they changed the ending, or like something happened? I guess they talked to Daisy Ridley, and now she is a Skywalker, or they're changing whatever they originally had planned. They're changing it now. What's going on with that?
There's a lot of things coming out like that. As far as I know, all of it is trash. It's not real. The issue that I'm seeing with a lot of this stuff is that there's a lot of people, certain YouTubers out there, that are taking this title and taking what we saw in that trailer, and they're just running with all these like ideas,
right,
that are like insane.
Well, there's some. I got to tell you, because you introduced me to these ones. I seen some of their videos, and I really pissed off because it's like they make it like they're the Star Wars experts, and they're so effing wrong, like 90%, 100% of the time, right?
This was a big problem with what happened with not everybody, but with some people who disliked Episode 8. Again, I'm not saying everybody, but there's a portion of people who watched these, and you got to remember, these YouTube channels have millions of subscribers.
Oh, I know.
It's not a small amount of people.
But it's bullshit, though.
Right.
Bullshit.
They watched these videos, and there was one, I'm not going to name them specifically, but there was this one person who literally almost every day had a video about Snoke's identity. And he was like, I know it. I have a source. The source has told me things in the past that were completely accurate. And he went through this whole thing about how Snoke was like this ancient Darksider that predated the Sith. And he was awoken during Order 66 because of how many Jedi died. And there was a shift in the Force, and he awoke. And he's like a Force vampire. And he could drain the Force out of people. And it was this long, complex thing. And everybody bought into it. Everybody was like, this is it. This is Snoke.
Remember how you told me, in order to get my channel crazy and big and more popular, I need, like, joking around, I need to clickbait people and stuff like that?
That's what I said. Yeah.
And I said, I won't do that shit. Right? Remember I was telling you, I'm sorry. You know, it really sucks because it's like we've done these YouTube things for a long time. I did it since 2011. Only have like 1,400 something subscribers. Should have way more. But I'm not going to lie. Like, these people are cutting corners to get million subscribers. I have my morals. I won't do that. It's either I get there the way I get there. I'm not going to, like, start clickbaiting. And once in a while, I'll do, like, a joke or something. But, like, I'm not going to, like, do that to get to that level. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give you an example of a thumbnail. The thumbnail is really what sells a lot of these videos.
I know.
I saw a thumbnail a few days ago of Palpatine and Snoke facing off with lightsabers.
Which is ridiculous.
The title of the video was like, the amazing scene between Snoke and Palpatine.
And it's all bullshit, by the way.
And I was like, what? I was like, what
indication
do you have from this trailer that is something that's going to happen in this movie.
See, you know what it is? I've been introduced to with Scott. Like Scott showed me some of these things, and other people showed me some of these YouTubers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you looking at their videos, and I'm like, wait, why did they do 5 videos today? Right? And they'll see, oh my God, I made so much money from this video. I need to make another video and just add shit to it.
And you know what it is too? I feel like sometimes these videos, they're targeted, something like Star Wars is targeted to the younger fans on the internet.
Right.
So they don't know really any better. They see a picture of Snoke and Palpatine having a lightsaber duel.
Right.
And the title is The Amazing Scene Between Them in Episode 9.
Right.
And then you click the video and the person in the video says, I have a source that says this is what happens.
Right.
Then they go around the internet going, hey guys, look what I saw. This happens in Episode 9. And then when it doesn't happen in Episode 9, everybody goes, Episode 9 sucked because this didn't happen.
Right, exactly. You built up
like,
expectations, right?
It's like how do you
see people had yeah. Go ahead.
That's why I always say take things with a grain of salt. Because things can be wrong. People can make very convincing things. It's not until you get that backup from an official source that you should start saying,
see,
okay,
when we start doing Doctor Who videos, we speculate. We say we speculate. They should do this, they should do that, they should do this. We don't say this is happening, right?
Right. There's a difference between speculating
and
then creating your own narrative just for the popularity.
See, like even when I heard early on that the Dalek was gonna be in the final episode of the season, before we even knew it was a special, whatever. I said that before even there was like even any episodes, and I was like, this is I've used this source in the past. This person is guaranteed that the Dalek's going to be in the finale, and then lo and behold, the final episode they changed it. It wasn't a finale. The New Year's special was the finale, and the Dalek's in it. So we've been right before, like with different things, you know. And I say we've been speculating. We got a source, but grain of salt, you know. But these people, and I subscribe to them because I just want to see what they say, right? But I see that they get hungry, like they start making money on these super chats, and people are starting to give them money. So, and this is what bothers me is because they use this as a job, though. They don't have a job. So if they make $300, they look at that, they're like, oh, I need to like say some shit and repeat that shit or add shit because I just got $300. I want $600 today or $900 today. I even saw like one of the new people I'm subscribed to just to watch their stuff. She's asking people to finance a vacation, like putting money in this, and people are doing it. Like I'm like, wait, what? And meanwhile, I'll get criticized. Like I don't know if you noticed. Sometimes I do single videos on the channel, right? Like I did originally, right? So for some reason, I was just motivated to talk about Doctor Who, which was great because there's not really a lot of motivation. So I was like, oh, Doctor Who brands. I was talking about the toys. I was talking about the comics. I was talking about the video games. I was talking about the marketing. I was talking about missing episodes, Big Finish. So I said, let me just do 13 parts because it's 13 Doctor. So I did it because it was fun, not because I didn't get no super chats. I didn't get none of that shit. And I got criticized. I mean, not bad criticism, but people like, you know, are you just trying to fill content, like, to get stuff out? Like, I'm like, first of all, if you notice my channel, I don't put stuff up here like I used to. There's not like, yes, I do 1,000 videos a year, but there hasn't been as many podcasts as we used to. So, no, I'm not trying to fill content. I'm motivated by, look, I could talk about stuff today. Like I was watching horror movies all of a sudden. I'm putting stuff on there. Nobody gives a shit about that probably. But I did a review because I liked it, you know? But I won't go to these people's level to, it's nice if I make money from Super Chat, but I'm not going to bullshit so that way I can get like Super Chat money or whatever. And right now, we're not even live streaming. And because I'm annoyed by it half the times because I don't want to get like knocked down like where people, you know, YouTube's not suitable for advertising. I don't give a crap about that. So that's why we do it on the Zoom. And we upload it later. But I'll never be that person. Never be like that. And then after a while, I'm going to watch them because I see they're hungry for money. And they're just like and they lost their way totally. Now everything that comes out of their mouth is complete bullshit. And I can't be on board with that. So
yeah, I mean some of the videos that I've seen, and I'm not saying this like, oh, I'm a Star Wars expert, I know what's real and not.
No, I know.
Some of the stuff that I see, it's like, what gives you this indication that this is something that's going to happen in this movie? Like when you logically think about it, right?
Yeah.
If you have a source that says there's a scene in this movie where Luke Skywalker comes back to life and he rips a super Star Destroyer out of space and then manifests the Force ghosts of Obi-Wan and Yoda, and then he makes the Darth Vader armor for both of them. It's like, okay, logically, is that something that's going to happen in this movie? No. And if you're telling people this and then it doesn't happen, then they get pissed off.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's fine to speculate, but you have to have some sort of basis on what you're speculating on. For example, it's okay to speculate how Palpatine comes back because we know Palpatine's in the movie.
Right.
But now I'm seeing videos that are like, you know what? It's not just Palpatine that's coming back.
Yeah, right.
Plagueis is in this movie too.
Right.
It's like where did you get that from? And they're like, well, Darth Sidious is Darth Plagueis' apprentice. I'm like, okay. Count Dooku's Darth Sidious' apprentice.
Right.
Is he coming back? Like,
I know.
So, like, I just don't understand how these videos, like, you got to really think about what you're clicking on when you look at a video. Like, don't believe everything that these people are saying. Don't even believe everything we're saying. Fact check it yourself.
Oh, exactly. Like, here's the thing. Remember when we were talking about Doctor Who and we were talking about all these different things?
Right.
And then all of a sudden there was a day that was just a slow news week, and somebody took every single thing we did in the video and they tried to make it like it was real Doctor Who news.
Right.
And I'm looking at him like, why is this so familiar? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's all the shit we talked about.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not. And I did a video. I'm like, look, man, we talked about all this stuff. This person's trying to make it like it's real. It's not real. You know, like we talked about this speculating. So there's no such thing. Like they took all the Real Beans cast stuff and they made it into a story, but they didn't even give us credit that we speculated. They made it that it was real canon, like this is what's going to happen with Doctor Who. And I got pissed because it's like, you know what? Give credit where credit's due. We speculated, not that it's real. You know, just because it's slow news day, you don't do shit like that. So I don't know, man. It's just, hey, you know, you got to sift through when you go to these YouTube channels. You know, we're here. We do it to have fun. You know, a lot of people like when you're on, Chris. Like we've gotten compliments because you're into your, like really into your stuff. Like you know your stuff. You know, and a lot of people love when you're on. They love to watch you. Of course, we have a whole bunch of people on here, and we don't have an agenda. We just get together. We talk about stuff that we like. You know, but you got to be careful out there with these YouTube videos because some of these people.
Like we're not always going to get everything right too. Like I mean, for example, in the reaction to the episode 9 trailer, I had said that Palpatine was only in episode 6 of the original series.
Right.
Which I was incorrect. He also showed up as a hologram in episode 5.
Right.
And somebody pointed that out in the comments.
Right, they flipped. We know, we saw movies a million fucking times.
Right. Which I appreciated that because they did it. They didn't call me a moron. They were just actually he was in 5 too, and I was like, of course. I meant physically showed up.
Yes, physically showed up. Right.
Which
so
I
was played by a different actor too originally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's like an example of the right way to go about that.
Right.
But if I came on here and I was like, Plagueis shows up and he kills Rey and becomes the new main character of the series.
Right.
Then someone in the comments could be like, "Why?"
Correct. You know what it is? A lot of times, people take every single thing we say and they analyze it to death and whatever. Do you remember when? And I never seen it has relevance to what we're talking about. Remember, there was like movie 47 Meters Down.
Yes.
And we joked about it, you know, this friggin' movie, and then it was getting a sequel. And remember, they didn't have a title for 47, like so they said
they added a meter.
Right? Listen in it, and this is the thing. And you know what? Screw you, Billy. This was there, okay? They didn't know what to call it, so they said 48 meters down, right? So for the longest effing time, they just put it, meaning not that it's actual meter, but it's another movie, right? Because you're not going to call it part 2. This was there. This was on Box Office Mojo. This was everywhere that was the thing, right? Then we did a movie. We were talking about it, joking around. I'm like, oh, yeah, another freaking meter. All right, you know what? Didn't realize, I guess that effing day, they decided to make a nice, appropriate title, 47 meters down, uncaged, or chapter 2, or some shit. So Billy lost his effing shit. And he went on this whole tirade about, you really need to check your sources. It's like, it's like, you can't get this stuff wrong. You're doing a podcast. The whole, and I'm like, oh, shut up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like looking to piss people off. I'm not. Listen, do you think I'm gonna like that movie? Probably not. It probably sucks anyway, right? But that's all. What are you gonna call it, right? That's what they called it. So don't take things seriously. And then when I say shit, sometimes I'm like, I'll say things, and I'm not like, I'm just saying like an opinion or I'm joking around. But people like are taking every single thing we say, and it's like, this is not right. This is not right. Whatever. So just chillax sometimes. People need to just chill. Listen, Chris has seen the movie, right? New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, like tons of times, right?
I could probably quote all of them.
I would be watching it and Sharon would be in the room, and I'd start fucking quoting the shit like a second or two before, right? And I'm saying shit, and it's like, I've watched these movies so many times, just like Back to the Future, things I really love, right? I could quote that shit, and I quote it, and I'm like, just like, my mouth is moving to what they're saying, So if you think for a minute that we don't know what we're talking about, from friggin' Star Wars, back to whatever, you are out of your effing mind, okay? Because I've never watched any other movies more than Star Wars New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, Superman 2, Superman 1, like all these movies that I really fucking love, I can quote that shit. You know what I'm saying? So please, like, Chris knows that freaking the Emperor was in the hologram. Like, relax. That's,
Well, I mean, that was, I mean, they were absolutely right, though.
No, I know.
You misspeak with that. But,
right.
I mean, the other thing is that there's so much information that I've tried to memorize that I'm going to mix things up every now and then.
Oh, yeah. Like, okay. It's like. It
happens. It does.
I own all the Godzilla movies. I mean, I've seen every Godzilla movie. But once in a while, I'll every freaking detail of certain things, like, and you have to correct me or whatever. It's like, oh, no, that's happened. Okay. But, I mean, come on. That's it. I mean. What else? I think that's pretty... Billy.
I still love you, Billy.
Yeah, we still love you, Billy. You drive me effing nuts sometimes. That's what I say when I read his shit. I'm like, fucking Billy.
I think the next Star Wars trailer that comes out, I think Billy and I have to come on here and just throw ideas around and see what we come up with. Because I think we might come up with a pretty damn good idea of what's going on. But
like one laugh could change the whole course of fucking everything. Like people losing their shit.
And that's why I will say, I said this already too. Even though I'm worried about what the implications of that laugh. That is brilliant marketing. That is marketing at its finest, because you took a fan base that was severely divided.
Oh, yeah.
This is coming from somebody who liked Episode 8. I am not blind to what happened after that movie came out.
Right.
They took a fan base that was severely divided. They put one clip of Palpatine laughing in there, and all of a sudden it was like, yeah, Star Wars is back! And it was like, well...
That's true, though. It's friggin' true. And it was like, Endgame? What? What's that? It's
yeah, they were like, what? The Infinity what?
What? What are you talking about? Right.
Oh, that purple guy. Like,
right. They had, you know what? The memes were hysterical though.
oh my gosh.
Like when they showed Thanos, and then he's like, oh, he's the greatest, like the biggest villain in history, but whatever. And the Emperor's like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's like you heard the Emperor, like, fuck Thanos. Like, seriously.
The funniest one I saw was like Snoke's dead, and then it shows the Emperor like walking into the room, like, eh.
And you know the weird thing is, like, all this stuff is going on and Game of Thrones too. Game of Thrones is huge too.
Right.
And that was like the things were through the roof. The memes are all day too. It's like, wow. I was saying, like, what a great time to be alive, because like all this shit was happening at once. Like, greatest Godzilla movie ever is probably going to coming out soon. It's like,
well, you know what was nice? I said it a couple of casts ago where I was like, I wish Star Wars, like the fan base, could kind of go back to the way it was when Episode 7 was coming out.
Right.
That was a great time when Episode 7 was coming out. Like, people were so excited, and then it kind of puttered out. Now I'm starting to feel that again. It's like people are like, yeah, this is great. And
yeah.
Like,
it's gonna level. It's gonna do so much more money than Force Awakens. This movie. I mean, it's gonna be an embarrassment how much more it does than Last Jedi. It's gonna be like ridiculous. It's gonna be ridiculous.
And that's a good thing, because right before that, The Mandalorian comes out, and if that's as good as they're saying it is,
right?
Which I saw some of the footage that they showed at Celebration, and it does look really good. It looks pretty good. Along with that Clone Wars trailer.
Yes.
They had a trailer for the last season.
I saw it. I loved it. Yeah, I know.
Unbelievable. That got me so hyped. I was like, oh my gosh, put it out now.
Well, it's like all these good things are happening, right? And I'm almost done with my book too, which is like, for me personally, to finish a book and then publish it, I'm freaking psyched.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like I said, it's free to do the book, right? Free to write the book, right? But the thing is, when it's done, it's the anticipation. It's the, now you accomplish miracles, and this is the motivation you need. Where in the process, before this book can come out, all these bills have to be paid. So it's like, that now you'll see me go like crazy. I will be like working like nuts. I'll be paying everything off, because my main objective is I won't be able to do the book unless everything's done. So the book will be out. And then you're going to see me in the newspaper. You're going to see me in articles, because I'm just nuts like that. I love, besides our favorite movies and our favorite comics and our favorite things, personally, besides the YouTube thing, doing a book is my thing. I love doing it. So while all this is going on, I'm almost done with my book. I'm excited, because I'm, when I put a book out that year, I'm loving that shit, But when I don't, it's like, oh, this is what I do. So I'm ecstatic once I finish this book, how fast it's gonna come out and different things. It's gonna be like, it's gonna be crazy. Good times this year. So there you go. Was there anything else we missed today, or is that pretty much it? I'm going to take a quick look, because I know besides
that I knew about.
Again, about the parentage, with Skywalkers. I mean, does it matter if she's a Skywalker or not? I mean, it's like,
I don't think it matters. I mean, I've always been of the opinion that it doesn't really matter to me who she's related to, because I prefer it being that she's not related to anybody. She's Rey, and to me, it's like, okay.
There was one thing. The first details came out about PlayStation 5.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so they're aiming for a 2020 debut, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be backwards compatible with PS4. And pretty much they said the loading time, I think it took 15 seconds, they said, to load Spider-Man, which is ridiculous. That's great for something like that. It's incredible how fast it's going to be. So, of course, they said $500, whatever. I mean, I think I'm gonna get it at launch when the time comes because, now I'm heavily into gaming, like
Yeah.
I just uploaded God of War, played a little bit today, and these are good times too. Like I know Billy has been very critical about me. For some reason, he hates that I have 3 channels or whatever, right? I love it because I love doing this with you, and everybody here, the podcast, and I love doing my comic book reviews, and I love doing my video game stuff. Makes me happy. If it makes me happy, it works. So, not gonna do stuff that doesn't make me happy. All right, we're gonna get out of here for now. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye for now.